There's a basic difference between Gail Wynand and Howard Roark, and this difference is captured in an exchange that they have. Wynand is looking back to his childhood, and he's thinking back on his experiences and the feelings that he had as a child toward other people. And there's an interesting difference. He questions Howard Roark about how he felt as a child, and there are certain similarities and there are certain differences, and the differences are really significant. Here's the exchange that they have. So Wynand says to Roark, "Did you want to scream when you were a child, seeing nothing but fat ineptitude around you, knowing how many things could be done and done so well, but having no power to do them, having no power to blast the empty skulls around you, having to take orders, and that's bad enough, but to take orders from your inferiors. Have you felt that?" Roark says yes. Then Wynand asks, "Did you drive the anger back inside of you and store it and decide to let yourself be torn to pieces if necessary, but reach the day when you'd rule those people and all people and everything around you?" Roark says, "No." Wynand says, "You didn't? You let yourself forget?" Roark says, "No, I hate incompetence. It's probably the only thing I do hate, but it didn't make me want to rule people, nor to teach them anything. It made me want to do my own work in my own way and let myself be torn to pieces if necessary." Wynand, "And you were?" Roark, "No, not in any way that counts." Wynand, "You don't mind looking back at anything?" Roark, "No." Clearly, Wynand does mind looking back on his childhood, where Roark is basically spiritually content. He's satisfied with all the choices that he's made in his life. Roark probably wouldn't change anything about his life. Even with the struggle that he went through and everything that he did, he probably wouldn't change a single day of his life. And he certainly has no regrets about any of the choices that he's made in his life. Gail Wynand, at a certain level, in some place within his soul, he knows that he has sold out on his integrity. He knows that he's committed this violation of selling out his soul. And for him, looking back on his life, he sees that he's sought power over men, but in effect, he's ruled by the very people that he sought power over. He never escaped from Hell's Kitchen, in the sense that the people that he despised and the mediocrities who have power, who ruled over him and ordered him around, in effect, they're still controlling his soul because they set the basic course of his life. So Wynand is torn by this inner conflict. And one thing that it drives him to do, it's very revealing, is it drives him to this hobby of his of trying to break men of integrity. So we get the story of Dwight Carson, who was a writer who was upholding, the writer who dedicated himself to defending individualism and to defending great men. And Wynand, basically breaks his integrity and forces him to write a column, preaching collectivism and the equality of all men. And Wynand does this with person after person. Whenever he meets somebody who represents integrity, who displays integrity and shows integrity, Wynand is driven to try to destroy that integrity, in effect, to prove to himself that he wasn't wrong in selling out his own integrity. So he needs to be able to prove to himself that he was right, that integrity has no chance in the world. And he's going to go out and destroy any example of integrity that he could find, because any integrity that he sees in the world basically is an affront to the choice that he himself made in his life. So he's sort of driven by this mania of crushing men of integrity as a way of, proving to himself that he was right, that there is no such thing as integrity.